The Turkey Sandwich Podcast, meat and bread for your head. It's episode number 7, and today's topic, the Millionaire Mindset. What are wealthy people doing that the everyday average Joe is not doing? How are they differentiating themselves? How are the rich implementing principles in their day-to-day lives that set them apart from the rest of us? I also wanted to talk about how to become self-made, how to start from nothing, build wealth over a long period of time, and become a millionaire on an average household income. For the last 15 years or so, I've been doing all kinds of research on the habits of the rich, gathering information on finance and compound interest and investing and stocks, and reading books about building wealth. And no matter what book I read, no matter what principles I go over, no matter which magazine I scroll through, I always come back to finding these 3 principles, these 3 main things that most wealthy people have done consistently over a long period of time. So I wanted to share those ideas with you, and I want to tell you a little story that changed my life about a dozen or so years ago, about the only millionaire that I know in my life. So let's get started. Ironically, this story happened in Las Vegas. I literally learned one of my most valuable lessons while visiting Las Vegas of all places. So my youngest brother had just turned 21. All the brothers were now of legal age to go gambling and drinking and have a good time and hang out. So my uncle, my quote-unquote rich uncle, planned the weekend. We were all going to go to Vegas and just hang out and have a good time, eat some good food, and get some bonding time in. So I remember this. We went to this really nice buffet, spent a few $100 on dinner, and we were just chilling, walking down the main strip. And I remember stopping in front of the Bellagio fountain and just enjoying the spectacle of the lights and the water and just enjoying ourselves, enjoying the fresh night air, hanging out and talking and have a good time and laughing. So the show wrapped up. My uncle looks down and he sees a shiny penny on the ground. And he zones in on that penny, picks it up, and the look on his face was like he won $100, like he had found a $100 bill on the ground. He picks it up and he's like, "It's my lucky day," and he's so excited, and he opens up his little fanny pack and he gets out his coin purse and he drops it in there. And I just remember his reaction to that penny, how probably 100 people had walked over that penny and nobody had picked it up. And here was this guy worth over $1 million, had a net worth well over $1 million at the time, and he was that excited to pick up a penny. And it just made me think about life. It just made me think about what's important and how he had this different perspective about money that everybody else around him seemed to not care about. To see the value in small things and that little things matter and to not be wasteful. That's what went through my head. That small things add up to much bigger things. That saving is a way of life. That my rich uncle had taught me this growing up. But it all kind of put it in perspective watching him pick up that penny on the ground and getting so excited and exhilarated about it. So that's what I took away from the trip. I don't remember a whole lot else about the trip. I know we had a good time. I know it was a blast. But that's stuck in my mind. It's one of those moments where you reflect back on and you think about, wow, that really made a difference in my life. Now, let's get to the meat and potatoes, the bread and butter of this podcast. The first thing that wealthy people do, first and foremost, is they avoid consumer debt. By that I mean any type of unsecured debt. That can be credit cards, student loans, car loans, even unpaid medical bills, personal loans, payday loans, car title loans. So if you have any type of non-collateral loan, you need to start reassessing your financial plan. If you have any of these kinds of debt, you need to start rethinking the way you manage your money, and you need to start devising a plan to start paying down your consumer debt. When all your money is going to the banks and lenders and you have payments out your eyeballs, it's pretty hard to start building wealth and saving your money. So think about debt differently. Don't use your credit card to, go on vacation or go out to eat. Don't finance your cars. Start paying cash for everything. Start saving up your money and paying cash for things. Now, there are certain exceptions that wealthy people do use debt for, but they use debt as a tool. The average wealthy person might only have one credit card, and they pay off the balance every month, and they use it as a tool to build their credit, to keep their credit above 800. Or they might have some other type of collateralized asset-backed loan where they're used to buy real estate, for instance, or to start a business. But you will never hear a wealthy person claim that consumer debt helped them build their wealth, that was a means to their end. No, they avoided debt at all costs because you're paying interest on those loans. You're paying the bank. You're making banks wealthy. You're making the lenders wealthy. So you need to avoid debt at all costs. Get rid of your consumer debt as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, and never go back into debt. And the second thing that millionaires do, they save and invest their money over long periods of time. The average millionaire takes about 32 years to become a millionaire. So it's a long, slow process. There's no get-rich-quick formula. Slow and steady wins the race. To attain wealth, it takes a lot of discipline. It takes patience and consistency and persistence, and just knowing that it's not going to happen overnight. 80% of millionaires are first-generation millionaires. They did not become rich overnight. They did not get lucky, and most of them, in fact, are self-made and did not inherit their wealth. So that's a common misconception and a myth. So, what do millionaires invest in? It's actually very simple. Most millionaires invest in two things. It's not rocket science. Number one, the stock market, and number two, real estate. And in most cases, both. And they have a long-term outlook on their investments. They're constantly building capital gains in their stocks, and they're constantly building equity in their real estate. And that growth is tax sheltered. That's key. They're not constantly selling their investments and incurring taxes on that growth. They're looking at things long term and constantly buying more stock and constantly accumulating more real estate in their portfolio. So they have a long-term outlook and they're not worried about the day-to-day fluctuations. So basically, millionaires invest in assets, things that go up in value over time. It's very simple. And next, they realize the power of compound interest. Now, what is compound interest? So it's basically the principle that you make interest on your money and that interest is automatically reinvested. And once that interest is reinvested, you make more interest on your money and the interest on that is automatically reinvested. And it creates this like snowball effect of money, that your interest is constantly being reinvested automatically. Albert Einstein himself called this the eighth wonder of the world. That's how amazing compound interest is. So basically, your money's constantly being reinvested. And if you ever wanted to figure out how quickly your money would double at a certain interest rate, I recommend the rule of 72. So all you do is you take your interest rate, you divide it into the number of 72, and the number that gives you is the number of years it'll take for your money to double. So if you made 12% on your money, you divided it into 72, that equals 6 years. 6 times 12 is 72. And you will know that no matter what, using compound interest, your money will double in 6 years, making 12%. So it's a very simple method to figure out how quickly you can double your money. So let's talk about being self-made, how to go from nothing and become a millionaire, and how long will it take you making an average household income. So this is a scenario. Just imagine you're 25 years old right now. You're making $50,000 a year. That's the average household income. You start with $1,000 and you commit for the rest of your life to investing 10% of your income a year into the stock market. And the stock market the last 95 years has averaged 12%. So we'll use 12% as the rate of return in this example. How long will it take you to become a cash millionaire, not including real estate investment or anything else? How long will it take you to get to $1 million? The answer, 28 years. So you could theoretically be a millionaire by the time you're 53, just earning an average household income. $50,000 a year, never getting a raise in this example. So my point is, anybody can do this. Anybody can become a millionaire. Anybody can start from nothing and grow their wealth over time and become a millionaire if they're consistent and persistent. And the third thing that millionaires do, they live by the golden rule. You know the golden rule. They treat others how they want to be treated. There's a reason why it's called the golden rule, because indirectly it's going to have a positive impact on the accumulation of wealth and the increase in your income. Think about this. If you're a service-minded person, when you serve others well, whether it's in business or your job, the natural result is to have repeat customers. Or if you're in the corporate world, you're naturally going to move up the corporate ladder, thus bringing an increase in your income. So it's a cause and effect relationship. You can call it karma or whatever else you want, but naturally, if you serve others well, your income is going to increase. Millionaires also have a very strong moral character. They do what's right when no one else is watching. They have integrity. and work their butts off when no one else is watching. They have an undeniable work ethic that they're always going to beat the competition. They're always going to show up to work on time and stay late if they have to. They don't have long gaps in unemployment. And bottom line is they work their butts off day in and day out and don't complain about things. They are always looking to help others, to be generous with their time and their money, and to be disciplined givers, and do whatever it takes to reach out and help someone else. They don't think about themselves first. They're always acting with the spirit of generosity behind them. So that's what it takes. So let's wrap this thing up. So to summarize the 3 things that millionaires do. Number 1, they avoid consumer debt. Get rid of all your unsecured loans and start paying down your debt as soon as possible. Number 2, they save and invest for the future long term in things like the stock market and real estate, and they utilize the power of compound interest. And number 3, they live by the golden rule. They treat others how they want to be treated. Now let's get to the details of the cash giveaway, the moment you guys have all been waiting for. So here's the details. To qualify for the cash, you must be a current subscriber when this podcast is released. So as of release, right now, I have 37 subscribers, so all 37 of you are eligible to win the cash. So it's very simple. Everyone can win $10. That's $10 of my money if this podcast gets 100 likes by the end of September 2018. So that's easy. The easiest money you'll ever make. Start spreading the word to your friends and your family and your coworkers and get me to 100 likes and everyone's a winner. Take my money. You can do this. We can do this. Let's do this together. You guys have a great week.